So you're feeling stuck right now. I get it. We've all reached that point in our career, especially if you're in the beginning stages of real estate. But I want to talk to you a little bit about why we get stuck. A lot of times it is because we are expecting results for things that we don't understand the process behind it. Let me give you an example about what I mean. When I was coaching with Matt Sutter it was a real estate CEO coaching program that I was in, so fitting. I loved him, great time coaching with him. But he talked about this thing called the lag curve effect. And the lag curve effect says that there is a time difference between when an action is taken and when a result is achieved. What happens with real estate agents is they come into this industry. We come into this industry expecting immediate results. We expect that if we pick up the phone and call 50 people today, that tomorrow we should have 50 contracts. It does not work like that. So this emotional intelligence is going to be very critical in between the time you start and the time you actually get rolling and get your thing really going. Because what happens is the lag curve effect says that there's a delay in the time that an action is taken and when a result is achieved. It's the same, biblically, we call it seed time and harvest, right? You have to sow a seed and you have to wait time. I always say this and I always joke about this. My mother used to say, you can't hustle a hustler. Here's what I mean by that. The system is what it is. It's seed, it's time, and then harvest. You control your seed. God controls your harvest. The time is what it is and you're not changing that. What happens when you put the pressure on the time, meaning you want the harvest to come up at the time you want it to and not the time that it's going to do what it does in its own, is you get frustrated, you get annoyed, and you quit. So now you're not consistent. So now you don't have a right to results. But the reality is when you sow the seed, all you had to do was wait. All you had to do was nurture it. All you had to do was give it time. But what happens is we're in this culture where I was reading something the other day. They said that when you click on something, if it doesn't load right away, like if it buffers for 2 seconds, people X out of it. I'm like, really? Like, we have moved past the time of things taking time. Like we knew that greatness used to take time to now if it doesn't happen in 2 minutes, we're feeling like something is not working. Get rid of that anxiety. That is going to be an enemy to your faith and an enemy to your business. You have to understand that there is a delay between when an action is taken and the results are achieved. If I was to get pregnant today, I would have to wait 9 months to have a baby. You are coming into a new industry, something you've never done before. You don't know anything about it. You're learning, you're getting rid of your old mindset as an employee and thinking like an employer/business owner. You're learning real estate, contracts, lead generation, having conversations with people. Why do you think that's supposed to take off in 2 months? Like, we've got to be realistic. And when I say we got to be realistic, I see more destinies aborted because of what this is, impatience. Right? And the Bible says in James chapter 1, let patience have her perfect work. Keep her employed. Don't fire her. How do you fire patience? Oh, it's not working. I'm going to go to another broker. I'm going to go to another coach. I'm going to go to another city, state. But meanwhile, everywhere you go, you got to start over. That's what the enemy don't tell you. When you are impatient, everywhere you go, you starting at zero. Why not stay where you are? At least you 30% of the way there. You got 70% to go. If you start somewhere over, you still got 100%. Now, I'm not saying stay anywhere that's not a good fit and anywhere that you really feel is not going to help you grow. But I'm talking about you got to really be able to dig deep and look inside and see, is this a place that's not working for me, or am I being impatient? Am I really showing up, or am I not doing the work and expecting results from work that I didn't do? This is one of the reasons that I love where I'm at in my career, because all of it's focused on personal development, because I get to ask myself all those questions all the time, because I'm not going to abdicate my results. I'm not going to abdicate my future fortune just because I want to be impatient. I tell people when I got into real estate, I said, you're going to be in this for 5 years. Hands down, I gave it 5 years. I said, you're going to stop doing everything else. You're going to focus on one thing and you're going to do this for 5 years. And what that did for me is it stopped me from rushing. I'd already committed 5 years. So come hell or high water, I was going to be here for 5 years. I didn't know what to expect. I knew what I needed to do. And the only thing that you can control in the principle of seed time and harvest is seed. You have total control over your seed and what you do with it. You have no control over the time. You have no control over the harvest. Why are you worried about those things? Why are you worried? I never worried about if it was going to work. I know that seed time and harvest works. I know that if I plant corn seed in the ground in 6 months or less, I'm going to have corn. I don't need anybody to tell me that. I know that. You know that if you plant an apple seed in the ground, you're going to have an apple orchard very soon. It's what you're allowing your emotions to tell you in the meantime. This is why when you become a realtor, when you really start anything new, employ emotional intelligence up front. Give yourself a timeline. I'm going to do this for a year. And give it yourself an extended timeline, because the extended timeline takes pressure off a short timeline. That's why I said 5 years. I didn't say I was going to wait 5 years for results. I said I wasn't going to quit until 5 years. Because I know me. I'm the type of person, prior to real estate, if it didn't pop off the way I wanted to, I'd just go do something different. Because most of us have a lot of talent. So it's like, I'll go do this, I'll go do that, I'll go do this. But then I looked at my whole life. I had a bunch of businesses. All of them, some made 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 10,000, 5,000. None of them had ever made 6 figures. When I got into real estate, I hit 6 figures by my 16th month. And I said to myself, what changed here? Focus. I was focused. I didn't have 100 side hustles. Right? And that's what I see a lot of people do. They got too much stuff going on to even focus on one thing. So they got their seeds scattered all abroad. It's hard to really track it if you're doing that. But when I said that, I said I'm going to detach from the results and I'm going to commit to the actions. I can't control anything else but my actions. And I got in here and I worked. And I worked and I became better. But I was never in a rush for results, because I knew that I was married to the process the whole time. So if you're at this place where you're feeling stuck, take some of the pressure off yourself. If you're expecting things to happen in a short amount of time, be realistic. You can get a sale in 30, 60, 90 days. You should be able to get sales. But building a sustainable business is going to take a little bit more time. I'm not talking about sales. Sales can happen as quickly as you're having conversations. So I'm not talking about sales. I'm talking about building the business side of it, where you're making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year or even a month without having to worry about how that's happening, because you have your system set up. But it takes time to get to that. And we got to be realistic with ourselves about this emotional time in between the time we start something and the time we get results. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to encourage you today. Don't let the enemy come into your life and talk to you about time. Time belongs to God. You are not on a time clock. You are learning to be better every single day. When you perfect that, the money will come. The business will come. The growth will also come.